This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Danilo's free, and it goes to Gibbs wide.
First time we've seen them attack them, and there's Brandon! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robinson do. Taylor one, he scores! And the City ground goes ballistic! Here's Bob Williams. He's through here! And in the end, Forrest will say it doesn't matter how you play as long as you win it. Yeah!
Hello and welcome back to Red Side of the Trent for another edition of the Summer Series, as I like to call it. Joining me is regular Lee Clark. Lee, how are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Are you enjoying the Euros or missing Forest now? I'm
enjoying the Euros when England aren't playing. I think it's a brilliant tournament. But yeah, other than watching England is very similar to watching Forest, to be honest, funnily enough.
There's been some absolute belters of goals, I have to admit. Some absolute cracking finishes. I'm enjoying the neutral games, as I like to call them, especially when Switzerland play because they're the most neutral country. Crap joke, but we digress. Forest fixtures come out the week. We wasn't able to react to them like straight away. We've been on holiday. People have been busy. We are going to react to them today, along with some of the news. First of all, though, before we do get into the fixtures, Lee, I do want to react to the news that Steve Cooper has joined our neighbours from down the A46 in Leicester City. Some people might call him a rival, depending where you live geographically in Nottinghamshire, or if you know certain people that support Leicester. But what is your general consensus to it all?
Well, I don't think I ever thought that Steve Cooper wouldn't work again. I'll be honest, I don't know if I'll get stick for this, but I'm a bit surprised that he's got another Premier League job. I actually think he's as good a job as he did for us. I thought his best bet of getting a Premier League job was someone like Leicester who have just come up, and their manager's obviously taken an upward step somewhere else. I've seen some pretty hot takes on the whole Cooper going to Leicester stuff. I have to say, some Forest fans seemingly making out that they're going to be rooting for Leicester from here on in. So, like I said when Cooper was still our manager, we're Nottingham Forest fans. We're not Steve Cooper fans. What I would say is that doesn't mean that we can't forever be indebted for what Cooper gave us. He gave me as a 36-year-old the best day of my life supporting Forest, watching Forest live. So he'll never be forgotten for that. But yeah, he's a young coach. He wants to work, and he's obviously waited for the right moment, and he sees Leicester as the job for him. So yeah, I agree with what Reece said in our group chat. Actually, it's kind of weird because in any other job, other than obviously Derby and the one he's got at Leicester, you'd kind of say good luck to him. I'm going to be rooting for him, but I'm not. I hope it goes spectacularly wrong. Again, that might make me sound really sadistic because of what he achieved with us, but Leicester are in our division. And looking at what we might, they're going to probably get points deducted, aren't they? So it's going to be a tough job for him anyway. But I think I'll be intrigued to see how he gets on. I just hope we don't get this Glasgow situation where every time Cooper gets a really good win with Leicester, it's, we shouldn't have sacked him. But you just know it's going to come. That's what we do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm firmly in the camp of like if it's not Forest, then they're against us. So especially like his last season where we had so many things go horribly against us. So he's just the kind of another one to add to that. And I'm forever thankful as well. Like you said, gave the best day of my life as well, supporting Forest, especially going to Wembley. I've always said that I'd never go to Wembley to watch football unless it was Forest first before I'd watch like international football or whatever. But yeah, I'm kind of in that camp. Just like without really knowing their situation, whether they can spend money or if they are going to get points deduction. How do you expect them to get on? Because they've got I'd argue they've probably got a more settled side than what he had to deal with in the Premier League with us.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. I think he won't have the chaos of needing God knows how many players that we needed when we got promoted. I actually think he's a good appointment for Leicester from a footballing sense. Taking my Forest hat off for a little minute, I think knowing a Leicester fan, they played they kept the ball quite well last year, but they weren't overly productive with it. From what I understand, just from someone who goes to games, he was saying that Enzo's team kind of kept the ball, but they never really went anywhere with it. A bit like a mini City. You know how I've said before, would you get bored watching City's style of play every week? He said it was a little bit like that. So they'd go 1-0 up, 2-0 up, and then you just know there'd not really be anything else. Whereas I actually think Cooper will probably adopt that similar style, but he will want a little bit more of an attacking intent, I think. I think it's a little bit bizarre that some Forest fans have kind of said, "Oh, get ready for this low block football." I don't ever think we saw that with Cooper when he had the players, and we were in a league where he could play this 3-5-2. And I think he will probably look to revert back to that at Leicester. So, yeah, I think it'll be fascinating. I do think he'll do okay. I think it'll just depend on the situation off the field with them, whether he can bring his own players in and what happens there. But I thought it was interesting. The first piece of news when he had been appointed was that he's bringing a set-piece coach in. Yeah, at our place, he pushed for Simon Rusk, who's an under-19s manager at our place. But like I say, we digress. Let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, I think Leicester are set up a little bit differently to Forest in terms of chaos. I think they got a new training ground, new academy, etc., etc. I think it's kind of probably a bit more of a pleasant place for him to go and work at. Whereas the relationship clearly didn't work with Marinakis and Cooper by the end of it. But we'll move on. Some other interesting things have come out of late in terms of rumours. There was an interview with Murillo saying whether he's not sure whether he's going to be here or not next season. If he's going to be here, he says he'll give his all. If he's not, he hopes that people respect him for that. With like there being, as we do this on the 21st of June, there's 9 days to go supposedly for this 30th of June deadline of PSR, and we're seeing Everton and Aston Villa do dodgy things between their academy players. There seems to be like a lot of calm in the Forest camp regarding as maybe wanting to sell all these fringe players. Do you think there must be something going on? Because we're looking like we're signing a lot more players than we're selling them. So I'm a bit unsure. Yeah,
I think you'll always get the incoming links anyway. I don't think we won't be sat on our hands until that's sorted. I think we'll anticipate that we will bring players in. It's like we've said before. I think as much as you'd have like an order of, a timeline of how you'd want to do things, it doesn't always fall into place like that. So it could be that we actually bring someone in before that 30th. I don't know. I don't know if that Carlos Miguel one's interesting one, isn't it? Because obviously it's Romano and everyone have been saying that it's going to happen this week. Well, I wonder if we're holding off so that it happens after the 30th sort of thing. I don't know. But yeah, it looks like they are pretty calm. I'm hoping we're going to raise 20 million because I'd rather not have a points deduction again. Yeah, and as a second sanction, it's probably going to be more than 4 points. So, yeah, let's hope that we've learned some lessons. I can only see Murillo going. I can't really. It's been pretty quiet with every other player, hasn't it? And I can't see how we're going to raise 20 million unless Marinakis sees what Everton and Villa are doing, and he's just going to sell Joe Worrell to Olympiacos for 21.5 million or something. Don't know, but yeah, hopefully we can. 9 days is probably a long time in football. I think. Probably the Euros being on's not helping. I suppose if there's some players that are catching clubs' eyes at the Euros, they might be kind of having second thoughts on paying 60, 70 million on Murillo, I suppose. But
I've seen someone mention in the Everton kind of Villa comments of this deal that's going on because they're like Lewis Dobbins going one way, and then I can't pronounce the other lad's name, but someone saying like, "Oh, Juventus got deducted 15 points for doing something similar." So I was like, "Well, yeah." So surely that I don't know, but then people could say that if transfers started happening between Forest and Olympiacos or Rio Ave or I can't remember the Italian team that Marinakis was linked to. I don't think he ever got it over the line. I think it was Monza in the end. So God knows what's going to happen. So I'm hoping, I'm in the same kind of thought process as you. I hope we don't have a PSR kind of deduction again, because if Leicester are going to have one and potentially Villa or Everton or City or whatever, you'd rather at least be ahead of some teams at the start of the season if it can give you a head start. What have you made of like the recruitment of rumours going on? Because we seem to be linked to like a lot of young players. I think like Palmeiras is getting raided for about the 50th time by an English side, it seems.
Yeah, I think I do like the profile of the players we're being linked with. Yeah, it's a difficult balancing act, isn't it? Because as much as you'd love to fill your squad with young players with bags of potential, you do also need some established Premier League players, I guess. But I guess looking at our squad now, you could say that we've got plenty of those to fill the gaps. So yeah, the players that we are being linked with are pretty promising. I think I don't know if it was on your list to move on to, but Reece Nelson's obviously the latest one from Arsenal. I'm sure there were some fans who dismiss him, much like there was some who dismissed Elanga. But I do think it's a very similar sort of deal. Someone who's got bags of potential, has played nowhere near enough football for a player of his ability, and he's come to the point of his career where, much like Elanga and even Hudson-Odoi, I guess, he's thought, right, I need to go out and play. And I think Forest would be a good club for him in that sense.
Yeah, I think we've, like I reiterated quite a lot on this pod, that we can be that club almost. I don't want to call us a stepping stone, but we are at this moment in time. We can be the stepping stone to rejuvenate careers as such. So Reece Nelson kind of fits that mold perfectly, though. I know Reece is a bit like annoyed that he's not a left-footed inverted winger as such, because we do lack one, and lack a natural left-footed, left-sided probably player that could play out wide. But it's a good link to have. I think I'd rather be linked with someone like him than, I don't know, just some Tom, Dick or Harry from anywhere, you know what I mean? At least, you know, he knows the league and he's English and he kind of fills a quota in that sense, but he's also got a lot of potential to give us as well. So yeah, it's a good one.
I think as well he's much like Elanga and Hudson-Odoi. He's going to have a bit of a point to prove, isn't he? I think that can be very dangerous in a player, particularly a youngish player. I don't actually know how old Nelson is, but I'm pretty sure he's
about 24,
similar age
25.
Hudson-Odoi, isn't he? Yeah, I thought so. So yeah, I think I don't think he'd break the bank. I think he'd just be the sort of player that would. He just looks like a nice fit for our current squad, I think.
I'm wondering. I'm waiting for the Forest fan to have seen Turkey and gone, "Oh, Ardagula will get him. Like, he must be a nobody," and then to find out he plays for Real Madrid. So yeah. So look forward to seeing that. But yeah, I think I like the links. I mean, they're coming a bit out of nowhere. I think it's Eric da Silva Moreira from St. Pauli is a bit of a different one. It kind of was. It was a bit odd that he looked like he's a George Mendes client, and then I kind of looked into him, and I think I posted something in our group that someone gave like a bit of a report, and he's like a serial honest wet dream in terms of pacing, physical, and can kind of dribble and get past people. And I think that's kind of sums him up to a T in terms of our past recruitment, so that's a good thing. But let's get into the bulk of it, which is going to be reacting to the fixtures. We've actually got a home game to start with, a home game to finish with, and a home game on Boxing Day. It's absolutely bloody lovely. It's marvellous. Bournemouth at home, Lee. What was your response to that? Are you bothered or not really, because you have to play everyone anyway twice?
Yeah, I think it is nice to have you do have to play everyone twice, you're right. And I think I don't buzz about the fixtures coming out anywhere near as much as I used to. Because for that very reason, I guess. But yeah, I think we've kind of got the fixture list this time that we've been craving since we got promoted. We've not really got any of that. We've got one big hitter, I think, in the first month of the season, and then maybe one or two others in the second 2 months. So yeah, I think it's a nice fixture list. But with that, there comes the added pressure of there's no reason now why we can't get early points on the board. And obviously the issue stems if you don't get those early points on the board, you're going then into tougher months. So yeah, I think with all the talk that has been around Nuno's future as well, I think those first 10 games are probably going to shape his future at Forest, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a bit quiet on that front because obviously we got linked to Stefano Pioli, who's managing at AC Milan, actually. Sorry, not Fiorentina. We got linked to was his name Italiano or something? The Fiorentina manager. I mean, that was brilliant.
Yeah, bizarre.
But that seems to have all come quite quiet. So I'm assuming that Nuno is going to be in charge come 17th of August when we do play Bournemouth. I mean, when you come back to the Premier League, we was all looking out for fixtures like Liverpool at home and Man United and etc. Now it's been 2 years. Do you think that as the novelty wore off, or was there a particular fixture you kind of looked out for straight away?
No, not really. That is a good point, actually. That is a very, very good point. I mean, when we're in the Championship, I hate to give them the credit, but I always look to when the derby games were to check that I wasn't going to be missing one through holiday or something like that. So that's a really interesting point, actually. Now it's the third season. I can't honestly say I looked for one. I like the Christmas fixtures. I'll be honest with you. I do like the festive period. I think it's what separates English football from other countries. And like as a kid, it was always football to look forward to over Christmas and that sort of stuff. But no, there wasn't one particular team. I'll be honest with you. Now we're in the Prem, I look instead for blocks of fixtures that I think we can collect points in. I think in the Premier League, if you're going to be comfortable come with 5 or 6 games remaining, you've got to go on little runs, 4 games, 5 games, 6 games, brilliant, where you've not lost. So you can put together a couple of wins and a couple of draws. I find myself looking for blocks of games with that in mind instead. But yeah, I guess I always have a little look for Man United. I don't know. There's just something about playing Man United. That was the one team that we never seemed to draw in the cup, wasn't it? So I always think it's quite special when we play Man United at home.
Yeah, Man United at home is not until April 1st, so an April Fool's hopefully for their sake.
that could be a dreadful day, because when the fixtures came out the other day, I was actually in the dentist. And he said, yeah, all good. Come back in 9 months. And I'm at the dentist on the 1st of April, the day we play Man United. That could be a horrendous day.
I mean, looking at the fixtures, I think the first 9 are pretty kind to us. Like we've got Bournemouth, Southampton, Wolves, Liverpool, Brighton, Fulham, Chelsea, Palace, and Leicester. I think that the first 3 months are actually quite favourable. And then it gets a bit tricky. December, we spoke about where the liking to the festive period. That is a tricky month, I have to say. It's Man City, Man United, Villa, Brentford, Tottenham, and Everton. 2 of those being at home, which is Villa and Tottenham on Boxing Day. That is looking like the hard month. Whereas, so I think if like the first 13 fixtures, Nuno can get a decent amount of points on, then I think December can kind of almost be this whole, I don't know, free hit, if you want to call it in inverted commas, kind of period. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think I can't disagree with that. I think it would just be nice now we've got these fixtures to start with to actually hit the ground running a little bit, wouldn't it? So that if we do have a lull around November, December time, it's not going to, be catastrophic to our season and really thrust us back into relegation trouble. And I think we touched on it last season. I think we are capable of doing it. I think it's just cutting out the individual errors, learning how to sharpen up on set pieces at both ends of the pitch. Just game management, improve on that. So I think I'm quite optimistic. I think with the right additions, which, like we've just said, the players we're being linked with do feel like the right additions, if we can get them over the line and avoid a points deduction, I do think there's. I know we said the same ahead of last season, didn't we? But there was numbers of different. I mean, last season just seemed a little bit of a mess in recruitment sense. I mean, we didn't sign a keeper, did we? And so you look at the teams that we were playing in the friendlies, the starting 11s and that sort of stuff. You just never got the feel that 5 or 6 of them would be anywhere near the squad for the first couple of games. Never mind in the team. Whereas I think this season that might be different. Fingers crossed that we can have a bit more of a settled pre-season, just recruit quality over quantity. And then, hit the ground running and kind of pick up where we left off, I guess, in the last couple of weeks of the season.
Yeah, that December period kind of looks like the only kind of period of time where I think, we might struggle to get more than a couple of points, if you know what I mean, if it could go badly. But like, because of how we did second half of the season, I know, like maybe the statistics kind of show a different picture to what actually happened to the eye. I felt a lot more settled under Nuno. I thought we played better football. I thought we was good defensively. I thought we was good offensively in times. I think we just lacked a few maybe substitutes. So like you say, recruitment could be key in terms of filling a few gaps in that department. And if we keep a one-year fit, like we was talking about with Danny Tring last week, that helps our striker situation with him and Wood. I don't know what's going to happen with Che Adams. There's rumours that he might be going to the Saudi league now. He's getting offered like a ridiculous sum of money, which I don't blame him for, because football's a short career. What's your take on Nuno taking us into this next season?
Yeah, I've got no problem with it. I think I agree with what you just said there with the foot. I mean, again, seeing some people, I just think if you don't like Nuno at this point, he's not Steve Cooper. That's why you don't like him. But I do get that. I think football is about emotions, and Nuno's a man who kind of keeps his emotions in check and doesn't show much at all. It's horses for courses, isn't it? It's different managers for different roles and different clubs, I guess. So, we've got to learn to accept that Cooper and his fist pumping is kind of gone, and we've got a more reserved manager on the touchline now. So I just think continuity is a big thing for me, and I think going into by keeping us up, he kind of has earned the right to have a crack at a full pre-season, get some players in that he probably wants. But yeah, I think he'll be under no illusions that looking at the first 10 games, he's probably going to be judged pretty quickly on whether or not he's going to be a long-term solution for us. Because if we don't get a decent points, we know what ambitions Marinakis has got. And if he doesn't get a decent points total from them first 10 games, he's probably going to be looking for another job, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I hope not, because I do think, like, from watching us, we look like an actual Premier League side under Nuno. Like, even playing 4-2-3-1 in a bit of a, I wouldn't call it rigid. I do think like players had a room to go and express themselves. I mean, Oloré was like charging in field quite a lot of the time and shooting from 25 yards out. What inverted fullbacks doing that a lot unless you're João Cancelo, and he pissed off to Barcelona for half the season, didn't he? So yeah, I think we've got the tools there. I think there's a few additions he needs to make to said tool bag, and then we can go off on our merry way and hopefully have a half decent season where we kind of look back and go, that was a bit boring, but in a good sense, we kind of push on from there. And hopefully Marinakis can see it like that, because there's no chance you go from near the bottom until the top, apart from when Leicester did it back in 2015, and that was just an absolute like fluke. It was like Roy of the Rovers kind of miracle sort of stuff, and that's not going to happen again. It is interesting what you say about like the whole differences between Cooper and Nuno. I've seen a few fans already turn on Cooper after his opening statement towards Leicester fans, basically telling them what they want to hear, which every manager does. And I was like, he just feeding us fed the same thing to us. I was like, well, what do you expect a new manager to come and do? Say like, I don't care about. I love Forest. Like, I'm sorry, I've come to Leicester or what? I don't know. I don't get it.
They put lots of hours into media training, these managers, I can assure you.
Yeah, I bet. But yeah, I don't think there's that too much more to go through without stepping on other toes for other pods that we've got coming up in the future. For me, I think I'm looking forward to. I don't even know. I'm kind of in the same way of you. I look forward to every game. I think I'll be more excited once the Euros are done and we get to that first week, and I'll probably be buzzing that we're playing Bournemouth. Again, I mean, they'll probably think that's an easy 3 points for them because we seem to lose to them every season. Hopefully we won't get players sent off for winning the ball this time round, and it'll be a good start to the season. But I don't think there's too much more to go through, Lee, unless you've got any other business that you'd want to address in the Forest media.
No, not from a Forest point of view, I don't think. Trying to think now. No, not really. I was going to ask you just a question, just to fill 5 minutes and not to digress too much because it is a Forest podcast. But I was just, obviously England played last night, and I was just wondering what your, obviously it's a difficult one because we played absolutely dreadful, but we are top with 4 points. My question to you was, do you feel like the meltdown has been a little bit OTT?
I think yes and no. I think if you are looking at other nations, which everyone is doing because everyone watches the Euros, and they'll be watching Germany, they'll be watching Spain and everything, and you go, well, they've played 2 games and won both pretty comfortably, haven't they? Look quite good. Spain are playing a 16-year-old on right wing, and he looks like he's got. I mean, I pointed him out to my in-laws who aren't like massively into football. They don't mind watching. They were going, "He's 16." I went, "Yeah." I went, "How old can you be playing football?" I was like, "Does not matter as long as you're good enough." Do you know what I mean? And like, he's playing with absolute freedom. Germany
Spain have played Croatia and Italy as well so far.
Played 2 good teams.
Looked like losing.
Germany thumped Scotland, which was quite fun, and dispatched. Who did they play the next game? Hungary, was it? I can't remember now. Switzerland. Yeah.
They won the Euros with a 1-1 draw, didn't they? Sorry to all our Scottish fans, that's a bit of a joke.
Push them aside. And so, like, I get it from an England perspective, but the first 2 games have been a little bit underwhelming and disappointing. And I've reiterated so many times to so many different people, why did Gareth Southgate not take Tyreek Mitchell, who's the highest percentage in duels won this season out of any left back, and that is factual. I've seen it at like 85% or something, and he would have played next to his teammate in Mark Gurley. It'd have been easy, and he'd have been playing with better players, so he probably would have been better in terms of getting up the field and overlapping, and probably actually making Phil Foden look like actually belongs in this competition. But it's just been so underwhelming. The whole Calvin Phillips thing didn't help him either. I mean, play a centre midfielder next to another centre midfielder, for crying out loud. Why are England messing about with, I don't know, experiments by buying right backs in midfield just because Trent can ping a ball 30 yards every now and then? I've not seen him actually make a good forward pass yet in 2 games.
He's not done himself any favours with that comment, has he? Because I think I actually had a look when Calvin Phillips last started for England, and it was November. So he's had 7 months to try these new things that he's on about. And here we are at a tournament playing Trent Alexander. I mean, if Trent Alexander-Arnold, this might seem harsh because his passing range is pretty impressive. But if he played for us, he wouldn't even be in the squad, I don't think. That's just my opinion on it. And now we shoehorn him into the team in a position where we've got other players who must be sat there on the bench thinking, what on earth is going on here? So, yeah, it just all looks a bit of a mess. I think they look tired. Yeah. I think they look uninterested.
It looks boring, doesn't it? It looks like a boring game to play. Like the thing with Trent as well, like, I mean, he gave the ball away so many times and lost it. I mean, in the first game, he was lucky because Declan Rice was so unbelievably good. But yesterday, Declan Rice was just as awful. So that didn't help him. I thought Foden didn't get into the game. Saka was isolated. I thought Walker doesn't even look as fast as he used to. I know it was a great assist, but it was a lack of concentration from Christensen at left back for Denmark. Denmark are a good team, man. Like, you've got to be on it. And I thought, like, playing a better opposition, England would have been on it a lot more. But they scored and sat back like they have done since Southgate's took over, really, which is really disappointing. With some of the players they've got is unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm trying to go with the glass half full kind of mantra. I don't really want to get too dismissive while we're still in the tournament. I think if we'd lost last night, it'd been a bit different because then obviously our position in the competition probably would have been in the balance a little bit more. Whereas with 4 points, we should probably go through and probably as group winners, I guess. But that's the key for me. I think when we play someone better, if this team can step it up a couple of gears, I still think we could be in business. But it just looks a long way off on that performance last night, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think for me, if you're going to do anything different, it's drop Bellingham into the 8 role, which is where he's come through at Birmingham and played there for Dortmund and everything. Everyone keeps harping on about him playing number 10. He played false 9 for Real Madrid. With Vinicius and Rodrigo alongside him, and Toni Kroos and Camavinga and players like that behind him, threading in balls. It's a little bit different to England. Rice is not going to do that for you. Foden, I think, needs to be more central because he does play like a inside left attacking midfielder for City with like Doku or whoever outside of him. It's a bit different. So you've got Anthony Gordon there. You've got Palmer on the bench as well. Like Wharton, they've they're all good enough to play. Like, I just think put round pegs in round holes as well. Like, Southgate's just shooting himself in the foot. And I mean, he's got to get replaced. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. I thought he should have got replaced ages ago, but that's my take on it. But this is a Forest podcast at the end of the day. Should have took Morgan Gibbs White. Should have took Morgan Gibbs White and Ryan Yates. I do joke about that second part. I do joke. I'm sorry, everyone that loves Ryan Yates, but he's not good enough to play for England yet, if ever. So, yeah.
Oh, there's hope.
No, there's not. There's no hope. But yeah, no. Thanks, Lee. Appreciate that. We'll be back with another pod in the near future. There'll be lots more to come, obviously, with transfer rumours, everything else. I mean, we're interested in other Palmeiras, kid cover, Kelme. What you can't get excited about that. I don't know what you can't get excited about. But hopefully England will progress and we can maybe have a bit more of an England chat as we go through the summer. That'll be fun. But until then, we'll see you next time. Come on, you Reds.